Okay, in this video, we're talking about land or houses, right? What is the difference between the two and what should you know? Now, you might have came here looking for one thing. Well, I'm going to kind of give you a small education on both. And I do have a course called the Land Investing course that's completely free. I'd like you to check out. It's over here somewhere. It's on the left side. Hopefully this image isn't mirrored. It's on the left side of your bar whenever you're on this course page, okay? It's called the Land Investing course. I made it easy for both of us. Now, we have land and we have houses. Those are the two strategies we specialize in. We can definitely do other things. We've been in over 40 different industries, but those two are the biggest and our main two. Now, let's talk about houses real quick. I think everyone knows houses. We're calling a house an absentee owner. That means they own the property, but they don't live there. Okay. We're calling them, we're asking them if they own the property and if they've ever considered selling before. Okay. Now, houses, everything has their pros and cons. Okay. The con of houses is it's often a little bit more saturated. Okay. So market selection is really important for houses. All right. Really important because it's so much more popular than land. All right. Now, houses can still work very well. And if you're in a more suburban area, the campaigns can really pop off. We had Jay Connor hire us. I don't know if you guys know he is. He's in a city I've never heard of. We got 40 leads in houses on a $1,500 purchase for Jay. And he's kind of a big deal. So that was really exciting for us. But that's houses. Think suburban markets. They are generally, houses is generally more saturated than land. It's more popular than land. So a lot more people are pursuing leads on houses. That's the con. The pro of houses is there's a lot to talk about, right? So you can actually suck at conversation and still have a lot of things to talk about. We got the tenant, we got the roof, we got the plumbing, we've got the guy's grandmother, his family situation, his financial situation. There's so much we can get into when we are talking about houses. So much we can get into. All right. And that's the beauty of houses. You don't have to be very good at conversation to be good at houses. That is a big plus. A lot of people glance over that. Okay, but that's the biggest pro of houses. A lot to talk about. The other pro of houses is the numbers could be larger. There's a chance, I always say for houses, you might make 10 to 30,000. For land, you might make 3 to 30,000, right? So, with land, sometimes they're small ones, sometimes they're big one, but with houses, they're normally generally larger paydays. Okay. But you also get less leads. So it's all a trade off. So that's kind of the house's summary. Okay. Next, we have land. Now, I love land for one simple reason tons of leads, like crazy leads. You can actually check out the averages on the website and see that land averages almost twice as many leads as houses does, which is crazy. Now, I love that. Now, let me tell you about the con of land. The con of land is that there's not a lot to talk about. Okay, it's just an empty lot. So now you have to be creative. You have to be exploratory. We don't have a roof and plumbing and a tenant and grandma living there and all these things to feed off of. We have to create what there is to feed off of because there's not a lot to talk about. With land, yeah, I want to sell it. How much you want to give me? It's much more cut and dry. So your rebuttals have to be stronger. They have to be exploratory, right? Yeah, I definitely am interested in it, but I'd love to ask you some questions about the property and we can see if it's a fit. Okay. Yeah. So with land, we have to explore. So like, I'll give you an example. Hey, are there any utilities or is it wooded or cleared or anything like that? A lot of the investigation questions for land is more like due diligence questions, right? There's really not too much to investigate. But one thing I like my clients to focus on to get exploratory is, hey, why did you get this piece of land in the first place? Why don't you tell me what your dream was when you picked it up? Now, this is a great question because it gets them talking about the dream that died, right? Land is great because they're either building on it or they want to sell it, right? So you want them to talk about the dream they had to build on it. And you kind of want to remind them that they're no longer doing that. And with your help now, they can move on to what's next. Well, hey, why don't we put this behind you? I'll buy this piece of land from you, and then you can go on to your next fun project. How's that sound? So we have to be more creative when working land leads. They're not as conversational. They're more direct. And we have to pierce that directness with being a little bit more warm and fuzzy ourselves, being a little bit more exploratory. We have to try harder on a land lead to communicate. And that's it, though. So that's the perk of it. But there's way more leads. The other thing I like about land, the fact that there's more leads means you're getting more experience faster. We'll talk about working leads in the next video, but I wanted to help you guys figure that out. So first, we have our market selection, and then we have our strategy. So what are we going to do? Land or houses? Okay, and you can do both. You can do, if you buy a package big enough, we can do half land and half houses if you wanted to. Totally possible. Okay, so the beauty of us is you don't really have to choose, but I want you educated on what both sides look like. In summary, houses, less leads, bigger paydays, okay, can be more expensive to close a deal, but you get a bigger payday. Land, more leads, you know, average to same size payday potentially, but you have to be better at conversation. You have to be better at piercing their shell. So now you can maybe pick, you know, what your journey is. Do I want twice as many leads for half the price? And I'll just work on these scripts Nick gave me and get more exploratory with the lead. Or do I want to stick with houses, maybe get less leads, unless I'm in a really rural or suburban market, and then work on converting those. So you get to pick, but I want you fully versed. And then again, I'm going to say this probably in every video. You can call my cell phone, book a call with me. We can talk about it, and I can actually walk you through it on a more personal level as well. All right, let's get on to the next one. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to work the leads.